All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Norazrina Awang Ahmad. So for today's class, we will look at the writing process. Now, before you begin any writing task, the first thing that you need to do is to understand the writing process. So in today's class, we are going to look at the importance of brainstorming session and also some common strategies to brainstorm. So what is actually the purpose or the goal of brainstorming? Well, brainstorming is actually a process of generating ideas, and this process also helps you to think out of the box and also to think creatively. Now, when you are working in a group, this is also the stage where you actually discuss the ideas, you reassess the ideas and refine the ideas so that you will only include all the relevant ideas in your essay. So if you look at the stages here, there are five stages of the writing process. So let's take a look at the first one is, of course, the brainstorming stage, which is the pre-writing stage. Now, it's important for you to brainstorm ideas before you write so that it helps you to organize your ideas and also to help you improve the coherence of your essay. Okay, so after you have brainstormed for ideas, then you move on to the thesis statement. Okay, so you develop or you write your thesis statement to give an overall idea of what you are going to write about. Okay, so after you come up with a thesis statement, then you come up with the outline of the essay, which is the skeleton of your essay, where you write down the thesis statement and also the three main points that you're going to have in your essay. Normally, in a general essay, you will have 5 paragraphs. One is introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and also the conclusion. Okay, so this is where you write out the outline of your essay. So after you are done with the outline, then you will write the first draft of your essay, and then moving on to revising and editing the draft before you submit them to your class lecturer or tutor. Okay, so there are actually many strategies or methods of brainstorming, but today we are going to look at 3 common strategies. The first one is listing technique. The second one is clustering or mind mapping. And the third one is open reading. Okay, so method 1, listing technique. This is very common, where you make a list of all the relevant points related to the topic. Okay, so you can do this by using your prior knowledge, okay, your experiences, and also using other sources. If it is a take-home assignment, then you will have some time to do a background research about the topic and list down all the relevant points. You may use WH questions to help you list down the ideas, what, why, when, where, or how, okay? And then you make a list of details that you know well, for example, from current issues, from your experiences or personal background, customs, and traditions. Moving on to the next method. So the second method is clustering or mind mapping. So I'm sure you are familiar with this one, especially if you are a visual learner. Now, what are the benefits of using clustering or mind mapping? Okay, so the first one, it helps you to generate ideas. And for this method, you are generating the ideas creatively because you use visuals, you use arrows, you use clouds, shapes, and so on, okay? So it also helps you to see the relationship between the ideas if you do mind mapping. So normally you will start with a general topic at the center, and then you have subtopics around the idea, the central idea. So just like the example I've shown you here, okay, so this is actually a sample of mind mapping or clustering. So you have the central idea here, and you have the subtopics. Okay, so using mind maps, okay, is actually visually appealing, so it improves your creativity as well. And it is easier to retain or recall information, especially if you are a visual learner, okay, because you tend to remember more, okay, when you have visuals to help you out. Now, this is another example of mind mapping. So let's take a look at the topic of smartphone here. So under the topic of smartphone, and since we are focusing on argumentative essay, let's take a look at the pros and the cons of smartphone. So over here, you can have the pros. The first advantage of using smartphone is it is used to search for information. It is very convenient because it is small and portable, and it has various useful apps, like emails, chats, and social media. Okay, so on the right side here, we have the cons, okay, or the disadvantages. So we have the first one is distraction. It affects your focus when you are studying, for example, okay, or when you're trying to do something. So smartphone can be distracting, and it also leads to the addiction, whereby you are glued to the phone, especially if you love gaming, if you love to play online games, for example. So it could lead to addiction. And excessive usage of smartphone can also lead to health issues. So this is a simple example of doing your mind map. Now, method number 3 is called open reading. So what is actually open reading? So open reading means you are reading up on certain topics and responding to the articles that you have read, okay? So there are a few steps here, and open reading is normally useful if you have already decided on several topics and you want to pursue them further to find out information about the topic. So open reading is very useful. So the first step is you read, okay? You read on particular topics from books, journals, or browse the internet for articles. Okay, and then once you have identified the topic or the articles, then you highlight the important sections or important points from the articles or the essays that catch your interest or ideas. Okay, so you can also highlight ideas that you can further develop or that you think you can write about. Okay, so once you have highlighted important points, step number 3 requires you to write your responses. Okay, so you write your responses in the margins of the articles for easy reference. Okay, this is very useful as well, especially if you want to retrieve the information later on when you are at the writing stage. Okay, and after you have done writing your responses, you move on to writing your thoughts. Okay, so you take some time to reflect on what you have read and write down your thoughts on the issue that you have just read. Okay, this will help you later on to develop your ideas when you are writing the essay. Now, narrowing ideas. Once you have brainstormed for several ideas, the next step is to narrow them down, okay, because you really want to make sure that you only include the relevant ideas. So after listing the ideas, here are some questions to help you to decide which one to choose. Okay, sometimes students have so many ideas, so they do not know which ones are relevant for the essay. Okay, so the first thing that you need to ask is, are there any ideas that are quite similar? Okay, because if the ideas are redundant, then you can probably remove one of the ideas. Okay, and number 2 is, which ideas are the most manageable? It means here the ideas that are easy for you to develop, easy for you to give support to or to find evidence. Okay, and the third question is, which ideas have substantial information? So you need to understand that some ideas are probably difficult for you to find the evidence or the sources to support your main idea, while some other main ideas could be easier to develop, okay, because there are substantial information about the ideas. So choose the ones that have substantial information. And finally, which ideas are the most relevant? Okay, so you have to go back to the topic and really look at what is actually the main idea or the main tasks that are required, okay, for you to do. Now, okay, so we are done with looking at brainstorming process or the writing process. Now, the next step is an activity, a group activity for you to do with your group members. So you work in groups of 4, okay? You select a secretary for the group and look at the list of topics here. So I have listed 4 topics: online learning, gaming, gadgets, and social networks. So what you need to do is you need to choose one of the themes listed above, and each group member takes turn to provide input about the topic. Okay, it can be in the form of keywords, for example, pros and cons, like the sample just now, related to the topic. And the secretary needs to jot down the ideas using either listing technique or clustering technique. You can do mind maps. You can use any applications, any software. You can use Canva, you can use Microsoft PowerPoint. It's up to you. Okay, so number 4, complete the cycle until everyone in the group has contributed. Okay, and repeat the cycle several times until you have covered the topic thoroughly. Okay, and finally, you need to present your ideas to the class, right? So this is your task for today, and good luck, right? Okay, so in conclusion, you have just learned the importance of brainstorming and 3 methods of brainstorming. So the next time you receive a topic or a writing task, remember to brainstorm for ideas first, right? So that is all for today's lesson. I'll see you again in the next class. Thank you.